Imagine a world where the heavens suddenly went dark. For 4 centuries, the booming voices of the prophets, men who spoke with the authority of thunder, simply ceased. No more visions, no more warnings, no more divine intervention. This wasn't just a pause in history, it was a 400-year blackout that left an entire nation gasping for air. But while the sky was silent, the earth was screaming. In the shadows of this great silence, secret empires were rising, forbidden rituals were taking hold, and a cosmic transition was being engineered that would eventually shatter the foundations of the ancient world. You've been told the story of the manger, but you've never been told about the blood-soaked bridge that led to it. What happened during those lost generations? While the scrolls remained blank, the world was being forged in a furnace of Roman iron and Greek philosophy. We are about to step into the most dangerous gap in human history, a time of the architect of the Dark Temple, secret cave-dwelling keepers of the covenant, and a shocking celestial alignment that the history books tried to bury. If you think you know how the story of Bethlehem begins, you're only seeing the final frame. To understand the light, you must first understand the 4 centuries of absolute darkness that preceded it. This is the hidden chronicle of the 400-year silence and the transition that changed everything. The voice of the prophets has finally gone cold. For centuries, the thunderous warnings of Malachi and the fiery visions of Isaiah filled the air, providing a direct line to the divine. But now the heavens have shuddered. Only the hollow whistle of the desert wind remains. This isn't just a pause in history, it is a total divine blackout. The great silence has begun. While the sky remains brass, the earth is screaming with the friction of shifting empires. Deep in the heart of the Levant, a new power is stirring, one not of spirit, but of cold, hard steel. The ancient world is dissolving, and the scrolls warn of a transition that no one is prepared to survive. In the halls of Jerusalem, the golden lamps flicker as if sensing an approaching storm. Men look to the horizon with a growing dread, wondering if the God of their fathers has abandoned them to the rising tide of iron. The countdown to the dawn has started, but first, the world must endure 400 years of absolute, terrifying stillness. The light is fading, and the era of the shadow is here. From the west, a shadow stretches across the Mediterranean, cold and unrelenting. This is the era of the Iron Eagle. The Roman war machine is no longer a distant rumor or a traveler's tale. It is the rhythmic, bone-shaking thud of sandals on dusty roads. They bring a new kind of order, one carved from the edge of a gladius and enforced by the suffocating grip of the census. The ancient kings of Judah, once chosen by divine decree, have been swept away like dust. In their place sit governors and tetrarchs who trade in blood, silver, and broken promises. Inside the smoke-filled corridors of power, whispers of a king of kings are treated as the ultimate treason. To the Romans, the stubborn silence of the Judean god is the ultimate proof of his absence, a sign that their pagan gods have triumphed. They do not realize that this silence is not a void, but a breath held in agonizing anticipation. Under the heavy weight of the eagle's wings, the people begin to turn their eyes toward the stars, searching for any sign that they haven't been forgotten in the darkness. The pressure is building, and the atmospheric shift of history is almost complete. While the world watches the legions march and the iron gates of Rome swing wide, a small group retreats into the jagged shadows of the Qumran caves. These are the Essenes, the secret keepers of a dying covenant. In the flickering orange light of oil lamps, they work with a frantic, desperate precision, their fingers stained with the ink of 1,000 years. They believe the great silence is not an abandonment, but a brutal test, a refinement by fire, designed to purge the weak from the faithful. Prepare the way, they whisper into the damp cavern air, the sound of scratching quills against goatskin parchment, echoing like a heartbeat against the stone.
They are documenting the transition of eras, recording a hope that refuses to flicker out, even when the sky above remains as hard as brass. Outside, empires rise and fall in a whirlwind of dust, but inside these silent chambers, the future is being preserved. They are the living bridge between the world that was and the mystery that is yet to be born. In the darkness of the caves, they wait for the word that will finally break the 4 centuries of stillness. Enter Herod, a man of grand architecture and even grander paranoia. He is the architect of the Dark Temple, a king who sits on a throne built of fragile compromise and cold calculation. He builds monuments to a god he does not fear, and cities to a Caesar he desperately tries to impress, hoping that stone and marble can fill the void of a silent Evan. His eyes are always darting, searching for rivals in the flickering shadows of his palace. Herod knows the ancient prophecies better than his own subjects. He understands that a long silence often precedes a catastrophic storm. He builds walls to keep the future out, unaware that the great transition cannot be stopped by mortar or legions. While he polishes his crown and executes his enemies, a spiritual atmospheric pressure is rising that no fortress can contain. The stage is set, and the villain of the age is firmly in place, ruling over a kingdom that is holding its breath. He believes he is the master of Judea, but he is merely a footnote in a story that is about to rewrite itself. Disaster strikes when the air is thickest with the scent of compromise. A red moon hangs over Jerusalem like a bleeding wound as the temple is desecrated. The silence of the 400 years is suddenly broken, not by a voice from above, but by the jagged screams of the faithful below. A Greek king, Antiochus, dares to challenge the very core of the ancient faith, installing an idol where the presence once dwelt. This is the unexpected twist. The silence was never a lack of action. It was the terrifying preparation for a rebellion that would stain the stones of Judea. From the jagged hills, the Maccabees rise from the dust, a family of priests turned into hardened warriors. They are men who have learned to find God in the clash of steel rather than the whisper of the wind. They fight for a creator who hasn't spoken in generations, proving that faith is loudest when the heavens are most quiet. As they charge against the overwhelming tide of Hellenism, they carry the weight of 400 years of unanswered prayers. The transition is no longer a theological debate. It is a war for the soul of the world.
The sanctuary is stained. An abomination of desolation stands where the glory once dwelt, a cold stone idol mocking the empty Holy of Holies. For a terrifying moment, it seems the 400 years silence will end not in a revelation, but in total erasure. The ancient Near Eastern traditions are being swallowed by the relentless tide of Hellenism. Philosophers replace prophets, gymnasiums replace altars, the Greek tongue begins to drown out the sacred Hebrew liturgy. The youth of Jerusalem are beginning to forget the names of their ancestors, seduced by the polished allure of a world that has no room for a silent God. But in the suffocating dark, a single spark remains. Beneath the desecrated stones, a small jar of oil, untouched and pure, becomes a symbol of defiance. It is a flickering reminder that even when the oil is low and the heavens are mute, the fire of the covenant can still burn with a supernatural intensity. The transition is nearing its peak, and the pressure of the ages is condensing into a single point of light. The world is being stripped of its old skin, preparing for a birth that will render every earthly empire obsolete. Beyond the borders of Judah, in the silent, star-swept courts of the East, the Magi are watching. They are the high priests of the ancient world's hidden sciences, tracking the movements of a cosmic clock that has been ticking since the foundation of time.
For 400 years, they have mapped the heavens with clinical precision. But tonight, the mathematics of the sky have changed. They have noticed a shift, a celestial anomaly that defies every chart and map ever drawn by human hands. They do not need a prophet to tell them the great silence is nearing its end. The very fabric of the universe is screaming it. As they witness the convergence of planets and the birth of a light that hasn't been seen since the first dawn, they begin to pack their treasures: gold for a king, frankincense for a priest, and myrrh for a sacrifice. They are following a signal that transcends the empires of Rome and the philosophy of Greece. The cosmic transition is no longer a whisper in a cave. It is a blazing trail across the firmament, leading them toward a destination that will shatter the status quo of history forever. Back in the dust-choked villages of Galilee, life is hard, and the hope of the world has grown thin. A young girl named Mary walks to the communal well, her mind filled with the ancient, half-forgotten chronicles of kings like Ahaz, Manasseh, and David. She has lived her entire life in the deep, unyielding heart of the 400 years' silence. To her, this stillness is not a historical curiosity. It is the only world she has ever known, a world where God is a memory rather than a voice. But there is a strange, heavy static in the air tonight, a tension like the breathless moment before a lightning strike. The atmospheric pressure of the entire world is shifting, condensing into the small, mundane reality of a backwater town. The silence is no longer a hollow void. It has become pregnant with an ancient promise. As she draws water from the cold earth, she is unaware that the 400 years of divine restraint are about to rupture within her own life. The weight of every failed empire and every silent prophet is converging on this single quiet moment. The transition is no longer a cosmic map, it is a heartbeat away. The old world takes its final gasping breath. The grand experiments of man have reached their absolute limit, each empire inadvertently carving the path for its own replacement. Rome has paved the physical roads that will carry a new message to the ends of the earth. The Greeks have forged the precise language that will capture the infinite, and the Jews have guarded the flickering spark of the covenant through 4 centuries of total darkness. Everything is perfectly, terrifyingly aligned for the shocking reveal that history has been spiraling toward since the first silence fell. In the high, drafty halls of Herod's palace, the candles flicker and die out as if an invisible wind has swept through the stone corridors. In the Roman camps, the war horses grow restless, pawing at the earth as the atmospheric pressure of the divine begins to rupture. The 400 years of mystery, the secret scrolls of the caves, and the rise of the iron eagles are all down to a matter of mere minutes. The transition from the old covenant to the new is no longer a theological theory, it is a physical collision. The air is thick with the scent of rain and starlight. The countdown has reached 0. The 400-year silence is shattered, not by the thunderous return of a prophet or the trumpets of a conquering king, but the thin, piercing cry of a newborn in a shadowed stable in Bethlehem. This is the ultimate subversion of expectations. All the grand architecture of Herod, the iron might of the Roman legions, and the secret scrolls hidden in the desert caves have converged on a simple wooden manger. The great transition is complete. The God who remained mute through 4 centuries of war, exile, and blood has finally spoken his final word, and that word is a child. The world will never be the same. The darkness of the intertestamental age is not just broken, it is incinerated by a light that no earthly empire can extinguish. The long, agonizing wait didn't end with a cosmic explosion or a political revolution. It ended with a single, human heartbeat. The silence was never an absence. It was the deep, focused breath before the greatest reveal in human history. The dawn has finally arrived, and the 400 years of shadow are over.